That was when I learned about brain fog, and it's a horrible state. Your effectiveness in life is so low.
You likely have low energy as well if you have brain fog. And then it takes so much energy when you do have to focus on something. And it doesn't even have to be a huge task. It could be like focusing on cooking dinner. Takes so much brain power. I felt so crummy because that was my triad, was brain fog, low energy, mild depression, that I was like, my attitude was, why bother? I was like, what am I even doing here on this planet? This life, why am I here? Why bother? I've worked on my diet and supplementation, so I was able to eventually dig out of that. But it was always sort of, if I didn't manage myself correctly, I call it the cliff. And since I've been carnivore, the cliff is nowhere in sight. I don't feel like I have to be so incredibly careful managing every aspect of my stress and my energy and my recovery, because I'm going to fall off the cliff into low energy, brain fog, and depression. Eating carnivore has been life-changing in that I feel like I have mental clarity in a way, consistent mental clarity. There's still a day when I'm off. Maybe I don't sleep well or something, but overall, my mental clarity is fantastic. And so I feel like I have had that reversed where it's no longer a typical day for me. Yeah, I have such focus, such clarity. And it's incredible because I'm sure many of you know that searching for words type of a feeling. Again, I think that's sort of considered this normal part of aging, and it doesn't have to be. So I feel like I'm putting out my best work now and doing it again with less overwhelm, less stress, just pointing myself at it and going.
I have been on such a roll with my carnivore lifestyle. I have hit a new stride. Figuratively and literally.
Oh, yeah.
I am just feeling so good. My energy is up. Can you attest to this?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
My mood is pretty good.
Yes, very much.
Notwithstanding some, external stresses that come up.
But your resilience during those stresses was like nothing I've seen from you before.
The year and a half we've been doing this channel, JJ, we talk about JJ Zen. I don't think I have carnivore Zen, but just her energy and, she's just always in motion and stuff. And I feel like I've notched up a couple of pegs a little bit closer to where she's at, although I did have to take a nap this afternoon. But that was because yesterday and the day before, I tried to destroy myself with exercise. And it does catch up to you. See, I have a constant sort of vibrating level of nervous energy, but it doesn't translate into mental energy or high motivation.
And it's internal. Like, he's not a jittery guy. Like,
no, it's not like I'm shaking.
You don't see his leg going or anything, but it's all happening inside.
But the very hard intensity exercise is the only thing that reliably takes that up and drops me to that calm state. And I was like, well, why haven't I been doing this for the past 20 years? Well, the reason is that when my heart rate goes way up, it makes me more nervous.
The health anxiety has been the issue. It's
a little bit of a trap, but my new attitude is eat the yogurt even though you don't like it and run when you're not ready. And it works.
Starting in my teens, as hormones kick in, I started having insomnia when I was 15 years old, and it was directly related to hormones, and just had so many issues, but not the normal, like, oh, you've got polycystic ovary syndrome, or like, it wasn't any the typical you have female hormone issues. It was the whole system that was off. The adrenals, the thyroid, everything was off and made me just feel like crud. I couldn't, and it started with not sleeping. That was the start of it all. I could not sleep because of cortisol, and things just proceeded to get worse and worse until my late 20s. I started having fibroids, and I had miscarriage, and I had fibrocystic breasts, and was able to give birth to a daughter. So that was nice. And then I just never recovered. It's like I gave everything to that pregnancy. And then that was tap out.
Yeah.
That was it.
Didn't Kilt say that he's seen reduction in fibroids when people go carnivore?
He did say that. Yeah, I believe it. What was also going on when I got the fibroids was that soy became extremely popular and soy protein became extremely popular as a healthy way to meet your protein requirements. I did not like meat at the time at all. So I was drinking a lot of soy protein. I was already having hormonal issues, but I honestly think it was that soy that just gave me the boost to really start growing those growths. I was so tired, so fatigued, and low mood. It was really this hormonal system issue that started before.
And you're not blaming our daughter.
No.
Although there were times.
Not at that age. At that age.
No, that's true.
Those were the teenage years. No, but my day would look like I'd get myself out of bed, like hit the snooze a few times, get out of bed, have my toast, take her to preschool, take a nap, wake up for lunch, take another nap. You were at work at this time.
Yeah, I didn't get to see all the napping.
And then I'd have to pick her up from preschool, so I would chug a Coke, because that's the only thing that could keep me mentally sharp enough to drive. It was awful. And that was most of my 30s. Huh? Just stunk.
As I've talked about in an entire video, I entered into a phase, especially in my 30s, of very bad health anxiety. And that partially had to do with the fact that my health wasn't that great. My fitness wasn't that great. And I was having a lot of weird symptoms that I couldn't understand, like what was causing them. In retrospect, having gone carnivore and having huge benefits to my mental health from being in ketosis and being carnivore, I think a huge part of it was my diet.
Yeah, in hindsight, yes.
Of course, if you're having long stretches of depression and high anxiety, that is not good for your body.
No.
It is not good for aging. The bags under my eyes. And of course, then the eating becomes almost a medication.
Yes.
To I just want something that's comforting and delicious, and that leads to actually making everything worse.
I had literally decades of issues with inflammation and my hormonal imbalances, great amounts of fatigue, brain fog. It was not good. So after 35 years of struggling with all that and doing everything I could to try to live a nice, vital life, I found carnivore, and it has changed my life. It just reminds me that I maybe have this type of day once or twice a month now, where it used to be my norm. One of those decades of the 35 years, I was taking 2 naps a day and still sleeping like 10, 11 hours a night. So
that's crazy.
That was the worst. You were working out of the home at that time, so you didn't know the extent of it. And I didn't want you to tell you the truth. I pretty much hid it. This was totally a physiological thing where it suddenly seemed like the world was in color. That's all I can say. There was more life. I'll use that term again. That there's more life force. I could think more clearly. I suddenly felt not as fatigued, and the mood elevated a bit. I wasn't just like the struggle lifted.
So some little balance of brain chemistry shifted in that moment.
Yeah.
To flip the switch.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
But it makes sense to me, because back when I was carb dependent, you know how I would get at like 11:30 in the morning, and I would start to get really low and drowsy as my blood sugar started to go down.
Yes.
And then I would have some carby lunch, and I could feel my brain turn back on.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I feel so much better. I really needed that. And I don't experience that sugar deficit and then that sort of high from the carbs that returns my brain on anymore because I don't eat them. That's how I can kind of imagine what that was like.
It was incredible. It was incredible. I'm glad you remembered that because I forgot
Well, you
about
used
that.
to tell it all the time, but then carnivore became such a force in our lives that you forgot about the old story.
Yeah, the old story, my brain was probably turned on to whole 60%, but it felt like a miracle. The health benefits have been great and they go hand in hand. We've said this before. Other carnivores have said it. The doctors have said it. Your brain is not separate from your body. When you're working on a healthy lifestyle, it's the whole thing. It's holistic. It's the whole thing. So yes, I actually started this diet as a part of, well, it was part of my hormone healing, but also weight loss. And the reason I stay on it is because of the mental health and energy. So, but yet those things can't be separated. It is the hormonal health that leads to the mental health and the energy. They're all intertwined.
Right.
So even though I say my number one favorite result is that mental health boost, it's all intertwined.
The mental health thing's big because once you start feeling better and then you're now taking more action in other domains of life that you're able to make progress on, that is like a booster to your happiness because now you're making progress. And that gives you confidence that you can do other things in life, which then just makes life more open and the future seems more positive.
Yes.
And there's more optimism. It's positive stacked on positive.
Yeah.
With carnivore.
You know, you and I have just suffered from mental health issues and had people in our lives suffering from mental health issues. So that's been such a remarkable benefit of the diet for me, especially. I'm just like, holy cow, I can't believe the difference.
Took the dog out for what we call a paw patrol. Other people just say it's walking the dog. He's not on a leash, so he's much happier and I'm much happier. And I was thinking about how I used to eat in order to be healthy. I went from every morning having chocolate Pop-Tarts to making this really tough decision to start having a whole grain bagel instead of my Pop-Tart. I really felt like, okay, I've gotten that sugar monkey off my back and I'm doing something that's really good for me. All of it was not even food from the perspective of the human animal and human evolution. And it was so obvious. I was walking along, watching the dog do what the dog does, which is whatever the dog's instincts tell it to do. And going, it is so obvious now from this perspective that the steak that I'm craving is what my whole system is designed to consume and run off of. And I was always trying to find the prepackaged thing to make my life easier. I was trying to find the science food. I need the perfect science food to feed myself so that I can have optimal health.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you can't out science what nature desired for us from the start. It's beside the point. It's totally, it's a fool's errand. And when I started eating carnivore and gave my body all the nutrition that it wanted, so many things just righted themselves. And it's so obvious. It's crazy that it's controversial. If you've ever used a ratchet wrench, you turn the bolt, and then when you go the other way, it goes, and then it catches so that you can tighten the bolt. And that way you can quickly move the handle back and forth and tighten or untighten a bolt. This idea of a ratchet where you keep the progress you've made. You go into the resistance, you achieve the step, you do the workout, you eat that successful carnivore compliant meal, and you gain that foothold there. And your body is now going to begin doing the healing, right? The inflammation is going to start going down. And so you've ratcheted yourself to this level. And now you're going to do another week and you're going to ratchet yourself up through consistency. It's true for the carnivore diet. Every week that you're compliant, every month that you're compliant, healing happens slowly for some things and quicker for other ones. And you don't know at what point you have to ratchet up to get the benefit. The same thing is true anytime you're going to go into discomfort to accomplish anything else in your life. The ratchet effect is happening. It may not be that noticeable. You might just get one click. You may feel like you're at the same level as before, but and it slowly ratchets up. As you ratchet yourself into being able to tolerate more discomfort, it builds confidence to take on more discomfort.
Yes.
The old discomfort doesn't feel as challenging anymore. You need a new challenge.
Mhm.
And that is what is known as growth.
Yes. Yes.
And anybody at any age has capacity to grow.
And
both.
any level.
Yep. They can heal physically, psychologically, intelligence. They can learn new skills. It may seem obvious, but it isn't actually.
I was trained by one of the first life coaches in the country. Huge. She was in the UK on TV and she was on TV here. And her name's Rhonda Britton. And she has the quote, "You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable."
It can be tempting to compare ourselves to people who are better off or worse off as a starting point. There's nothing to be gained through the comparison.
There's a distinction that I want to bring up too. It relieves some pressure off me. I think you wanted to do things harder more than I do, but I have a propensity to complicate things and make things hard too, because I have perfectionist tendencies. Like I look at Carrie and I wish I could, I wish I were him and able to do carnivore the way he does it. I look at Boz doing the sardine fasts and I wish I could do that, but I don't beat myself up about it. I use the phrase from Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert. We had a big discussion about
I
when this book came out. I wish I wanted to do that. I wish I wanted to do that. And then I can sort of for me, that's a pressure valve. It releases the pressure. It's like, yeah, it would be nice, but I'm not willing to put my efforts there.
We have enjoyed many, many advantages in life, blessed infinite ways, both in finding each other, having a great daughter, having this wonderful place that we live, this stupid dog that we have. All of it's a blessing. And being able to see the blessing, even in things that are difficult, including my mental health challenges, my awkward social manner, those challenges are the laboratory in which we get to explore and experiment and learn who we are and what we're about. To the extent I can cultivate that perspective, it does get me out of comparing myself to others. It really doesn't matter. There's actually no judge on earth. Who cares? Those of you who are having great successes, we're proud of you and we're happy for you. And those who are still struggling, we know that you have the strength in you to keep going and to keep working in and keep refining your diet and finding the answers. And we always wrap up with the same thing every time here. And we mean this really, really seriously, not just for us, but for you as well. Every day stronger.
Every day more blessed.